The Tanner Center for Human Rights is a center here in the College of Social and Behavioral Science at the University of Utah, and we every year organize programs and panels relating to human rights issues, conflict resolution issues, a wide range of topics, and we often do this in collaboration with other groups in the Valley who work on these issues as well. This year we're examining issues related to women's rights as human rights and women's access to leadership. This has been a pretty remarkable year with regard to those issues. If you think about here in the state of Utah, over the past year there's been a lot of discussion of the extent of the gender gap in the economy, the gap between men and women in the state. Nationally, of course, we had the first female candidate leading a presidential ticket of a major party. The campaign raised a lot of issues relating to the status of women and respect for women in professional leadership positions. And so those are the kinds of issues that we want to examine this year. So leading off the series this year will be a collaboration with the Utah Film Center. We're screening the documentary Step, which showed at Sundance this year. And it follows several young women who are in a school in Baltimore, particularly focused on women's leadership. Follows these young women as they compete in a regional step dancing competition, but also as they prepare to get together their college applications and move on to this next stage. Later that same week, Thursday the 23rd, we're collaborating with the Hinckley Institute for Politics, putting together a panel examining women's access to leadership again and the impact of women in leadership roles. And the main panelists in that discussion will be Nicole Bauer. She's a professor of political science at the University of Alabama, and she has examined the impact of gender stereotyping on female candidates for political office and on the success of their campaigns. And then Sharon Mastracci, who's an associate professor of political science here at the U, will present some of her work examining the impact of women in political leadership on policies and issues relevant to women's status and to human rights. The keynote address for this year's events will be given by Cheryl Wu Dunn. She's the first Asian American journalist to win the Pulitzer Prize. She's the co-author of the New York Times bestsellers Half the Sky and A Path Appears, and many people will be familiar, I think, with this work. It's been adapted into various media, into film and other kinds of venues. And so she's very much a leading voice on what affects young women and women's access into leadership positions. So we think that'll be a great opportunity for people to learn about this and also follow up on it as well. And for the past few years, the Tanner Center for Human Rights has been collaborating with Amnesty International on a number of things, bringing in speakers, doing events, letter writing events with our students and some other things. This year we're very happy to be able to bring in, through our collaboration with Amnesty, Sharon Essetoyer, who is a longtime activist in the area, especially of women's health, women's and children's health, especially in the Native American communities. So she'll be here in early April to talk about her work in these areas. As is always the case, all of these events that the Tanner Center for Human Rights is putting on this spring are free and open to the public. We want to have people from campus there. We especially want to have students there. We want to have people from the wider community too. And we think that folks will find this a really provocative and informative program relating to these issues that have been so important in this community this year.